if you do have the capabilities, I would love just to see a show of hands. LPL Rumble, gas or pass? You know, and I think that's pretty standard. Gas
I like
or
that.
pass?
He's powered by the mech, and, you know, the gas or pass. I like that, Rafa.
Thank you.
Well, so far, gotta say, early Narban being thrown out by LNG, potential for maybe an early Renekton. Is a Zika special if he wants that, but no, just going to be a focus on the bin, and he's going to be that first pick Rumble on the blue side for the team that is not favored in this series.
This is
how you feeling about
not
my
boding
argument
well
right now, Rafa? Yeah.
This is not boding well for the LPL Rumble narrative. We might see 2-8 for his overall win rate after this game. But if LNG surprise us and pull out a victory here, you know, he would be one of the few 3 players to have pulled off a win with Rumble in the LPL so far. Now, on the other side, BLG, they're taking a look at what's available. Corki up on the table, instantly snagged. And granted, this can also be flexed between Knight or Elk. We've been seeing a lot more flexibility with Corki going towards the bottom side of the map and still doing a ton of work, regardless if he's not in the mid lane.
Wow.
But immediate answers by Yone.
Yeah, really solid core picked up here for LNG. I think that, I feel like the Xin pick might have been a little bit of almost soft power, being like, hey, we don't want you to go Sejuani. That is a matchup that Xin can push around, but that Vi, of course, Archie, go unstoppable, very strong. Galio picked up, good matchup into the Rumble, but we have seen this scenario where if like the goal now for LNG is to actually get the Yone to go into the Galio lane in order to, like, the Galio just builds MR, so to put the Yone there with the Bork, it's actually a pretty good matchup going into the tank and one that Yone can survive. So this opener for LNG is actually not too bad. They have the option, the side lane, play 3 lanes, putting Rumble weak side is rather easy. You can equalizer the waves if he feels threatened at all to just stall for a timer. But been on this Galio, we have seen this be a good matchup. The Zin's going to get you in there. But the tank busting power for LNG is real. So I actually don't mind this draft so far for LNG. Just curious to see how it gets rounded out.
And for LNG, I think it's pretty decisive that they're still looking for a bot lane for Photic and Jewel. Whereas for BLG, I mean, we've seen Galio support. We've seen Galio mid. We've seen Corki bot. So a lot of things really hidden on the table for the side of BLG in terms of their draft.
I'm still really expecting it to be Galio top into the Rumble. It's just a common matchup that we've seen. I do like the call out, though, that Galio can be flexible. Don't know what if we're going to see the flexes be held, though. As Corki bot will say, the Ashe matchup's really poor for Corki. That Kaisa ban, though, wondering if maybe get an Ezreal, something that can at least get around the Rumble a little bit, and those equalizers and deal with the Rumble Vi. Xayah, another option, as both Kaisa and Ashe decent into Xayah. What could be the pickup here if Elk wanted to go for that too.
And even though LNG are trying to dissuade that Xayah by taking away the Recon for the synergy, I mean, it's not like BLG were going to be threatened by that takeaway either, as we got baited. You know, they thought about it, but the Varus is a lock-in.
Akali is a pretty solid matchup in Yone, and you can navigate your way around the Vi with the Shroud. But Varus going to be locked in. That R-key for Elk. I got to assume that with the Corki showing, it's going to be the poke Varus, so that is a way to play with range and try and play to chunk out the health bars. Could be quite nice going up against LNG. Match some of the early power that's especially showing on that top side. I said Ezreal going to be picked up to match some of the poke. Will outscale the poke Varus later on. So again, LNG, I feel like they have options. They have win cons. Ezreal not the best at busting through tanks, but you got the Yone to do that too with the Bork and the 3 lane setup. Just putting Ez mid while you have Yone Rumble play the sides. That's always pretty nice. So don't mind it here. As engage already with the Vi. Take the Braum. Catch the Xin that's going to be going in. That said, blind Braum I don't like blind Braum. I love my Braum. I was a good Braum player in the past. Blinding that champion, I don't think that should be allowed. The ranged options, they are real, and On's going to bust it out. Support Elise has been dominating the Rift, and it looks like On's going to bust it out here. Game 2, going into the Braum.
And if you thought BLG's early game was scary in the first game of the series, where they didn't even really draft that many, strong skirmishing champions and were just playing better map strategy, you now have Elise Xin Zhao as your support jungle combo. A lot of the weaknesses that Elise faces in the jungle role later on, because she has to constantly upkeep her farm, she doesn't worry about that as a support. You get access to all of her strong abilities in setting up picks, setting up tower dives, with the freedom and the mobility of the support who doesn't have to care about their support income at all.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a pick. This is really, really nice into Braum, that range. Also, if you are in fear of getting tagged by the Winter's Bite, that passive, just go up in the air and at least stall some time. Maybe use a creep to get away from that. A real option for Elise in this one. Gonna feel really, really good into this Braum pick, who can't do much in this lane. So we'll see if it ends up being the 2v2. Also, if it's the poke Varus, which we are expecting, Elise and Varus can play off of each other really, really well with that Cocoon and the Chain of Corruptions once Varus does hit 6. So actually really like this pick. I think that's the answer into Braum. Play the range supports. I always love the Karma. Was always a go-to. A pick that I always hated facing when I was playing Braum. That's the one pick that I feel like I can speak to at a high level. I did hit GM. I was the best Braum in NA at one point back in Season 10 when I was playing the ladder a lot and had some game when it came to this game. I actually had no game, but, Braum doesn't take any skill, so I could play in the GM, But, Braum doesn't take any skill, so I could play in the GM, It was fine. But,
Are you saying that Brother Joel is playing a champion that takes no skill?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's not too hard.
Oh no, Ben! He might have the flash.
They had to get that lower third out of the way. Ben,
It might be too late. Okay. He flashes to the safety of his teammates, waits for them. Cocoon does hit on the Photic, but no one from BLG really wants to go into that despite getting a decent chunk across all the members of LNG. But Ben, without a flash, that might set up something for LNG to play around. If Galio does not have flash, it's a lot easier to stop him from escaping, since the Justice Punch is pretty telegraphed and you can allow yourself to get clipped by it just to stop him from escaping.
So, you know what I feel like it actually takes the most skill on Braum, or like the one edge that I had that I don't see pros running off?
What's that?
Here, always running approach velocity. That's nice. That's actually one of them. It gives you move speed's big on Braum, because your goal is just to apply and proc Winter's Bite throughout fights. I also ran the free boots, but you can't really do that in pro play. You kind of need the move speed early on, match the roams.
Yeah.
Or else, if not, your team is going to get mad at you. You're kind of trolling. That said, this has actually not been scouted by Wei. So Wei might be very sad when he gets the bad news. And red wards are littered throughout the top side.
But this is a good read, though, from Wei.
Yeah, it looks like he's reading it. All right, all good. I mean, it makes sense for Wei. The bot side is way too strong for BLG level 1. So there's no contest from LNG. So like the fact that Wei... utilizing the strength of his bot lane to pick the side of the jungle that he wants to take, get a little bit of advantage, and now On going to walk up to try and hover him as he's taking the Krugs. Not going to let the Ezreal and Braum harass, so will be decent start for Wei.
And while Joel and Photic are, dealing with the pressure, hang on. Haichao is taking a lot of damage from Knight, just making sure that it's not lethal. They did try and stall out this dive as long as possible. It doesn't look like that it should be that successful. Both are very healthy, but On goes in, takes up the turret, aggro flashes away, and then at the very last possible second, he dodges the turret aggro with the repel. Elk is also forced to flash, but they burned both summoner spells on a Photic, and he's super low. They just need one more. Wei doesn't have flash anymore, but he lines up the wind, becomes lightning, and Photic can't dodge it. First blood goes over to BLG.
That's big. I mean, there's no TP here for Photic, so he's going to lose a lot of CS and XP. Meanwhile, no flash for Ben. Going to try and get around this one, but I think he's going to be going down here.
Q flash? No, he doesn't even need the flash. He's in range. It's a nice trade kill for LNG to get one back, and Punish as Bin was pushed up on that wave trying to get the crash, but Zika holds him in place as Chuo should be fine. Just stops the bases of Elkanon.
I mean, it is advantage BLG still from that series of plays, but at least Weiwei able to get something up in the top side against Bin, who did TP back. Will be able to absorb vast majority of that wave. Meanwhile, you can see CS numbers. That wave for Fodic, it went to the wayside. He lost that CS and XP. And Elk with the TP. And that Poke Varus, as we predicted in Giraffe, coming out. Able to get back to the lane. Not going to miss much. And advantage BLG in the bot side. Lack of summoner spells now for Fodic. There is a trinket in the bot River Brush. Will help protect the LNG bot lane. But you gotta imagine there's going to be a revisit from BLG. They were so disciplined at punishing summoner spells that were down in the last game. And with those summoner spells missing bot, potential for BLG get up in the face of LNG here. As you can see, on with that priority off the base. Able to help Wei secure that Raptor respawn. Really nice from BLG, because given when the camps were taken, Wei can actually go take his own Raptor respawn too, as Wei took that 1 second. Would be a big lead and advantage for Wei if he's able to get that one off.
Yeah. This just really...
Yeah, I love the pathing from him here.
Really expert tracking on just knowing when all the camps are coming back up again on that second rotation, and just understanding where Weiwei had to have gone in order to maximize his first clear.
Good read from Wei. Really, really well played. Getting both Raptor respawns. Those respawn camps are a good chunk of XP early. And that could be the difference when the grubs spawn here in less than a minute. Zin's going to be on the top side. Another base would be needed for Wei to match the items that Weiwei has, as the ton there has been completed. But we'll see if BLG get that slow push in for this bot lane, and the objective that BLG wants to focus, because look at the lanes right now. They have priority across the board.
Yeah, Elk taking his time, having somewhat of a, not necessarily a freeze, but had the wave pushed up to his own tower, but doing a great job of zoning Fodic, who has no summoner spells, and maintaining that level advantage, 5-4. And already you see Wei just hovering Bin on this crash to make sure that while he's still down without a flash, he can secure this crash safely. But they're just going to go right onto Zika, and the flash does not escape the range of the taunt. Wei able to impact both side lanes in the first 6 minutes of the game.
Yeah, usually you can flash out of the range of the taunt, but it was the slow that Xin Zhao packs in his kit. Zika just not able to clear enough space to escape that one. Really well played by the top side of BLG. And that kill, there's no TP on the Rumble, so these grubs just going to go down. No ability for LNG to contest, and love the way that BLG played that one out with the duo. Really, really well done on the top side.
And at least for LNG, Weiwei is going to trade the first dragon of the game for the first rotation of grubs. On will face check it with the volatile spiderling, but not going to really get a chance to challenge it. But this is the thing that has made Wei such a clear-cut and choice for BLG, and why they have, decided to rock with him as the main starter going into the LPL 2025 season, because he just knows his role. He knows where he needs to be, and he's punishing Zika without flash. The equalizer comes down, but Wei and Bin should have enough damage, as I completely take that back. Zika's able to hold his own and stand up, but it did come at the cost of his own equalizer and flash on cooldown from Bin. But I think my point still stands here, Matt. Wei...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was the clear-cut choice, because, again, I mean, this was a Worlds run for BLG where they felt like they had to sub in Jun to have a better chance to make Worlds Finals to win the trophy, and they were one game short of doing so with him at the helm. That said, I think the real strength of Wei comes with his ability to play around his laners, and so far, I mean, this has been a really nice game where he's been able to play the map. I think that's what made them feel like it was the right clear-cut choice in the end, and like seeing it was Wei's ability to do that on this map, and a nice start for him here.
Just 8 minutes into the game. Not a completely disastrous deficit for LNG. It's only 1,000 gold down. A lot of that advantage is scattered evenly throughout a majority of BLG's members, but a chain of corruptions immediately forces Fodic's own cleanse on repeat. On with the cocoon flash, locks down this Braum. Here comes Weiwei. Maybe they can find a way to turn this one around based off that last concussive blow stacked up, but Weiwei decides against it, does not want to pull the trigger in a 2v3.
Yeah. Fodic and Joel have been playing together for a while. They did not play that one very well. It was a nice chain of corruption from Elk to catch Fodic, but the cleanse was a little bit late, and then they both managed to follow and flash back, which ended up meaning that the chains of corruption still connected on the Joel, just the way they played that one out. So not great in terms of escaping that one, and ended up costing them in the end is on.
Should be fine. Repel still ready and available, but does delay his chance to base and get back on the map. The first rotation of Grubs is already taken, so Elk doesn't necessarily need to play for the top side of the map, but you saw that he was potentially thinking about covering mid and letting Knight have a chance to base, but Knight is going to stay in the mid lane for now as Elk continues walking towards the bottom side of the map. We don't have objectives for at least a minute and some change here, so I'm curious to see where BLG decides to take their efforts again. I imagine just cleaning up that second rotation of Grubs for themselves.
Yeah, I'm curious if we get any swaps. I think that BLG really wants to maintain this 2v2, and frankly, I'm surprised that LNG didn't go for any sort of swap. Just, like, Varus Elise early against Ezreal Braum, I mean, you are double countered. The poke Varus early just does so much damage, especially with the Comet, the harass that you get. Then you throw in Elise harass on top of that in a lane where and Braum cannot defend against the Elise harass coming in. I'm really surprised that we didn't have LNG go for any sort of swap. And now, you kind of highlighted, Rafa. BLG, they want to make sure those 6 Grubs are theirs. Have shifted their bot lane up towards top. We'll take a plate on the top side. And I do like the response from LNG. Again, highlighted in draft, Rafa. You want the Yone into the Galio. That is the good matchup that Yone can punish. He doesn't need Bork to really start getting through the Galio, but at least in this scenario, he's going to get his farm uncontested. So maybe LNG is willing to sack Grubs in this top side to make sure that Yone gets off to the races.
Sure. I will say the scary thing for LNG right now is that no one has a first item spike. As I say that, Weiwei just based and got a chance to complete their Sundered Sky, but for the past 45 seconds, Wei was the only person with a first item completion on this Xin Zhao, and it pretty much allowed him to walk around as he pleased and imposing vision control and his own free will, ensuring that BLG had no contest whatsoever in securing the second rotation of Grubs. And with plenty of time to really set up for the second dragon of the game, I imagine that they have options here to say, do we want to force this dive top, or do we just want to get the crash in and get bases off and start setting up towards the bottom side of the map?
Oh, hold on, Wei.
Well, he has a flash, but the Crescent Guard is not going to protect him when they get in melee range and lock him down with all those ultimate abilities, and that's a nice catch from LNG.
Yeah, nice trap. I was going to say, I don't know if the dive's on the table, but they can at least try and send a few bonus members up here and pressure to utilize their Grub advantage to take some plates. And I want to say that's what Wei was posturing for, but nice trap laid from LNG to take Wei out, and Wei, who I really had a start worthy of a player of the game performance already, going to be slowed down there a little bit by the trap laid from LNG.
And so significant from LNG to have been able to get the one person who has accumulated all of those kills and stop their momentum from really snowballing this game out of control. This gives them the option. Wait, Wei can now get into the pit. High Chow is forced away. Oh, man, not like this.
Oh. You know, I'm trying to think of a pun about Wei. It's not coming to me, Rafi. You got anything?
When there's a will, there's a way. I mean, I think that's the simplest one I can come up with.
Yeah,
you know?
Unfortunately, the will away pushed way out of the pit, too. That's a bummer. Anyway,
I'm not going to lie, that kind of deflated a lot of the momentum we had for LNG.
Yeah, another perk about Elise, those Spider Wings do a ton of damage to turrets. 6 Grubs and Elise hits pretty hard. Going to be enough to take the turret, and they're just going to push forward. Wei doesn't quite have the Crescent Guard up yet. Chain of Corruptions.
There we go. Nice piercing arrow on the back half. Not enough range on that last hail of arrows from Elk to get the last bit of damage down to knock out Jewel. But BLG getting the pressure that they need to secure first brick. And because they had already secured the first 3 kills of the game, they get this feats of strength. Oh, but Ben's in trouble. Sika with the rumble is able to burn him to a crisp. And here we go. Maybe a little bit of momentum that LNG are desperately needing in the second game of the series.
I mean, Zika's rumble at Worlds, it was fantastic. Good to see him with that B1 busted out here and have some success, even despite the counter pick that was really popularized at Worlds. Ben looks like he's not thrilled about the tank duty this game, and Zika making him feel it. Well played.
Take a look at the replay. Just see how this all came to fruition.
Okay, so the mistake here from Ben, you want to use the Justice Punch synced up with the Overheat, because if you get the knock-up and run away, that's how you can avoid the auto attacks. If you just throw out the taunt after it expires, then you get to keep on firing away with the Overheat. So I think that first trade, even despite being down a level, Zika was able to get a ton of damage down early on. Really impacted it now on. Uh-oh. He's got nowhere to jump to.
Yeah. I mean, he can jump to Zika, but I don't think he's getting out of this one without repel.
Okay.
All right, LNG, they're starting to turn up the heat here. Really, you know, just pressing the gas on any time they have their ultimate abilities to force a lockdown. They do not hesitate.
Yeah, and they have a pretty clear win con, too. The Vi, Yone, Rumble combos later on. You can really single out and melt a member of BLG down. Not a lot of ways to defend against that. So, yeah, I want to see if LNG can really keep this up. For me, eyes on Zika again. His Rumble at Worlds was really, really, really good. I remember this past Worlds, like there was a big gap among how the Eastern teams and the Western teams were prioritizing Rumble because there were the 2 different scrim bubbles going on. And we saw the Rumble from Zika early on. We weren't super sold in the pick yet, and he was a big part of the reason why people started getting sold on it. As that's a lot of tools burned by Wei. Flash by Night. Goodbye, Hai Chao.
Good night indeed. Now, big shutdown onto Hai Chao, and it is for Night, but the rest of the cavalry from LNG are swarming in. Wei's got nowhere else to run. Ben throws down the hero's entrance, provides the knockup they need to at least trade one back onto Wei. Han trying to reposition for another cocoon, is in human form, does have that angle. It doesn't look like it's off cooldown quite yet. And the rest of LNG, I mean, they're taking these punches and they're trading uppercuts back here, man.
Yeah, a lot of flashes burned there from BLG just to get a 2-for-1. It may not be bad for LNG in the long run if they can find a play. Only Hai Chao's flash fell during that play. Meanwhile, Wei, Knight, both burned flashes in order to close the gap and find them. So curious if LNG, again, if flashes are down for BLG, whoever you're going to click R on as Vi, not a ton of ways to get out of that one. So Equalizer, Fate Sealed, get layered upon each other. Gonna take another look. Hai Chao eating the cocoon from On, and the flashes from both Wei and Knight seal his fate as he heads to the gray screen. And then BLG try and play their way out. Again, a lot of tools burned. A TP from Galio too. That's a significant one. Hero's entrance. I don't know if Ben should have dropped that immediately. Maybe if he plays the choke right away, able to find a little bit more to set that one up, but not the way that he decided to play it. And instead, as we turn live, BLG, again, 6 scrubs. You can see how much damage Elise does to these turrets with the Spiderlings and the Grub buff. All those spiders that hit do benefit from Grubs and that true damage tick you get on the turrets. And that attack speed buff, of course, massive too. So really, really, really big for this Elise pick.
And it's the one main advantage that BLG have got going for them, despite LNG, you know, finding a lot of opportunistic picks onto scattered and isolated individuals. They have 6 scrubs, and anytime they get a chance to touch a tower, it immediately falls. Now this chance, they were trying to capitalize Wei as he came out of the Rift Herald, but they still get a chance to knock him down to really low HP. But he manages to escape using that flash. BLG not quite able to land the CC as he was coming out of that Rift Herald.
That's still, I mean, a draw in mid lane. 6 grubs for BLG. They're able to push their lanes faster. Bin got top lane in. Took that outer turret, so only mid left to fall in favor of BLG. And of course, BLG were able to secure the feats of strength. That's a big one as well. 6 grubs help with that. And we kind of missed out on that one as the second dragon falls. I was thinking about that. Do have Hex Soul on the table. BLG, 3K gold lead, sitting pretty here. 18.5 minutes in. And I will say, I don't... Their scaling can be matched and is honestly not bad for LNG. I am a little bit concerned about this Ezreal as time goes on. I think him and Yone can be big difference makers if LNG is able to execute. So do think it's important that BLG continue to use the 6 grub advantage that they have to knock down these objectives and keep that gold lead up, because LNG can be scary if things go late. I mean, we've seen the damage that Rumbles can do, and this Ezreal going to be slippery this game.
For the LNG fans, LNG fans in the chat, there's a chance. And Fodic, dodging out on the Chain of Corruptions, definitely could have been the end of his life right there, but he does protect it, having to cede control of that tier 1 as it drops. BLG now having even easier access into these 2 jungle quadrants, and this is where you really get to emphasize the pick advantage of this Elise and Varus working together, because if you face check into a bush and you don't have vision control, you eat a cocoon, you eat a chain, boom, you're dead.
Yeah, and that's what BLG has to do, take the vision and control it. Again, I think LNG, if they are able to kind of hunker down, they can't play their way out of this in the long haul. Like straight raw 5v5 team fight, I think that LNG has potential to do some damage. BLG needs to be ahead for this comp to work, and the poke of Varus, it will fall off a bit throughout the game compared to the Ezreal. As if Ezreal gets 3-4 items plus that Seralda's Grudge and Miramana Evolved, which Bodic's sitting closer to, those can do quite a bit of damage. Of course, Varus going to match, but those Mystic shots, able to pepper, can be rather nice.
LNG just cautiously making their way through this top quadrant. It's answered by BLG going back in and denying vision. And Joel might be in trouble, but because he's Braum, can use that W to get away. Fodic dealing a lot of damage. They engage on the way. He pops the Crescent Guard, walks out of danger. And the rest of BLG might have to cede control of this top river now that they're down to jungler. But I say that, and I forget that junglers have a thing called jungle privilege, where they can go to a camp and get a decent amount of sustain back off, and especially since he is in Zhao, so they should be fine.
Yeah, it's still good chunk. Got the ult off and bought some time for Haichao to safely push and farm up this bot lane, as he's getting close to having that stride breaker. Going to be in inventory for him rather soon. So LNG, better map from them. Map 1 was far from promising. This map, we've seen some nice plays out of LNG, and want to continue to see good plays out of Zeka, who's making a case for himself to play of the game if it were to be an LNG win with some of his plays early. I mean, the one death he had was a really nice setup from Wei, so can't take too many points away from him when it comes to that. Next gank he played out of really well when it came to Equalizer. Found the solo kill on the Bin, of all people. So good to see one of the remaining members of LNG, a team that did beat BLG the last 2 times they've faced in the LPL regular season and at Worlds. Zika being a big part of that. Good to see him performing here as he's stepping up to the tall task in front of him and his team.
Down 4,000 gold, but not down and out completely. And that dream of taking a game off of BLG, reigning world finalist, one of the best teams that the LPL has ever produced, it could come to a defeat in this game if LNG find that magic formula, that magic combo, and leveraging Zika's strength that he has been able to, individually construct for himself. Now, the rest of BLG are trying to maintain control of this top river, but the 3rd or 4th dragon of the game, I should say, is spawning in the next 20 seconds. So I'm curious to see how the teams are going to divvy up priorities here, if they want to try and sneak someone on over.
Yeah.
and have the rest of people maintain control on the Otacon.
Well, obviously, Otacon, a pretty damn strong objective, but we'll say a Hex Soul for a poke comp is rather deadly. Uh-oh.
Wei might be in trouble. He's just going to force the engage, immediately flash away. Wei with the Crescent Guard will block all of the Rumble damage on that Equalizer. And that's 2 ultimates gone, plus a flash that has now been burned by the members of LNG.
Yeah, I actually really like On taking the fast recall here, because he's just going to, I think, hightail it back to whatever objective they want to prioritize, which looks to be the Dragon. Mid-priority being kept by Elk on the Poke Varus, and this Dragon, which, if secured, will be soul point for BLG. Under attack and will be spotted by the True Shot barrage from Photic, but no contest from LNG. So BLG at skirmish on the top side got more ults out of LNG, able to use the mid priority they have from the Varus to push that and take a free Dragon. Well played from BLG. Soul point secured.
And On is booking it towards the top side of the map. I don't know if he and Knight could single-handedly take down Zika, since he's already running for the hills and making sure that he is not caught out of bounds. They have a decent amount of vision control on this top side of the map to protect themselves from any collapses, but this is where BLG get to set themselves up again and try and deny as much vision and information away from LNG's top quadrant entrance as possible, and it does get very dangerous trying to face check into all of these pick tools that BLG have.
Yeah, really just kind of relegated to taking camps and poking and prodding around to see if they're going to get caught out or not. As every time a mid-wave spawns, you're going to see Elk approaching and holding that Q to delete it in the end. Baron take, not going to be super fast. For BLG, it is on the table. Corki will be the one to rip through it, but Varus Lee's Gallia damage not going to help a ton, so I think Otacon may just be the more appealing objective for BLG if they want to set their sights on it, or of course, all the priority they have, they can't afford to just farm it out here for 3.5 minutes until their Hex Soul spawns. As if that's secured again on these poke comps, you get a Hex Tech Soul, man, does it get just even more oppressive. As every time a Varus Q lands, it would come with a slow that chains to whoever's by you, and that certainly doesn't feel good.
Oh, they're getting a nasty amount of poke right now. Jewel forced out of this jungle completely. And he's taken nearly 3/4 of his HP as damage just from Xin Zhao Ws and Varus arrows. I mean, this is so oppressive and so relentless to deal with. And now this is BLG's time to say, hey, your support is off the map. We're going to force your hand here.
Yeah, got the TP from Zika to start. TP in response from
committing?
Finn. He'll be joining the fight. On's not spotted.
Oh, On Cocoon Flash. I think he found the one target into Zika, and that was the main hero that we were looking at, LNG, to step up. But if he's gone, the rest of LNG, and I don't think they're rocking the firepower needed to tango with the best in the LPL. BLG already finding 2 kills off the back of that pick, and they're going to turn their faces right back to the Otacon.
I gotta see a replay of that one. I'm not sure how the Cocoon exactly connected with the Rumble, because a couple flashes were burned. Not sure if that's who On was going for, or just who he just happened to find. Regardless, target A, On. I mean, that's exactly who he wanted to find, right? Could not find anyone better to set up the start of that fight, and the follow-up from Wei was fantastic. Otacon easily secured here by BLG. Just so easy that they decided to move straight onto the Baron. We'll see if they use this to bait him in and turn with a GA buff, or just stick it, as Wei spotted being marked by On, and he's just going to be forced out, so that's a free Baron for BLG.
Wow. BLG. They're just getting everything off the map here, Matt. I mean, my goodness. They get the Otacon practically for free off of that pick, and with the Baron, the pressure that LNG face of losing more than what they actually want to gamble. Here's the replay.
I think it was a High Chow flash, and then, yeah, just ended up finding Zika. Yeah, I mean, High Chow, he could have ulted out of that one, but burning the ult before would have been really painful. So that flash, unfortunately, I don't know if he meant for it to be a get down, Mr. President moment, because I think that Zika was actually the president. That Cocoon hit in. He was the one that was
more
better.
like a Thanos, I'm sorry, little one moment.
Yeah, we were setting him up to be the hero there. And
he was
unfortunately,
betrayed.
He just gets one-tapped. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, that was not the greatest outcome if you're an LNG fan. as you're now staring down a deficit of 8,000 gold against BLG, who are just pounding this inhibitor tower in the mid lane, using the power of the Baroned up minions. And they even have been on the top side taking care of business through this tier 2 quickly. This inhibitor will fall, and the rest of BLG, they're going to try and go for it. They have to send Haichao back. I mean, Nexus Turret 1 falls. Juo is the first target they find, and he just gets completely decimated. BLG 5-4, LNG running out of options here. I mean, you might as well try to kill the minion wave. They turn onto the left side. Q Flash finds the target. There's the Fate Seal onto the back line. Decent damage, but remember, the voracious Otacon gives them the GA, so they're not actually that dead. They can come back with the power of TPs if they need it. BLG forcing everything out of LNG's hand, but they're just not getting enough done. Wei goes all the way in, but he's got 9 in his back pocket, and he unloads the rockets into his back. LNG tried, but it just wasn't enough. Once again, a BLG now have them cornered 2-0 in the series. GG, well played.
What a disgusting end to the game from BLG. I mean, they turned the Otacon